Let's get weird in wine country. NASCAR heads to Sonoma. We get you set with our best bets for both the Cup and Xfinity Series. We're also going to give you our best DFS tiers for the evening. All this and more. It's the Backroad coming your way.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race is.
From the States.
What's up, everyone? Happy Thursday night and welcome to the Backroad. It's In Between Media's NASCAR DFS Fantasy NASCAR Show. My name's Elliot Hicks. Next to me is Seth Woolcock. And Seth, I know the viewers can't see this, but I saw you were hyped you were about as excited as I was at my concert last weekend. Hyped to that theme song. Always good to be on with you on a Thursday night.
Hey, Elliot, great to see you tonight, man. And you're right. I am absolutely buzzing. Today, I was out on a little bike ride, listening to all my NASCAR betting pods, getting ready for the week. I fucking love Sonoma. I love road course racing. Time to get back in the batter's box once again here. Happy to be going out to wine country. How you feeling about Sonoma? Are you already as excited as I am, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun weekend of racing. You know, the Xfinity Series in Sonoma is a little treat, too. For so long, it was only the Cup Series there, but the lower series, getting that experience there has been really cool. But tonight we're going to react to Gateway first. Then we'll break down Sonoma. We'll talk about our best bets for the weekend and then roll it out with our DFS rankings. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, our guy Rod Villagomez, called away for duty for his country. Would have been there with credentials to give us some fun content, but unfortunately, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
That's the way it goes. And Ellie, this is a really kind of fun time in NASCAR. One, we're past all the fucking bullshit. We know Kyle Larson's gonna be racing in the playoffs. We know SHR is closing. Like, we kind of are figuring stuff out from a long-term perspective, but also like this is now the dog days of summer. And we have a lot of drivers right around that cut line, the Logano's, the Buschers, your guy Alex Bowman, who, hey, they got to keep getting solid finishes. We're only 12 I think races away from the playoffs. So
it's not even closer than that,
Yes. So this is go time, man. This is where we see teams kind of pick it up is this summer stretch. And I think it starts here in Sonoma out on the road courses where we're not only turning left, but we're turning fucking right, baby.
Oh yeah. Going to be a good weekend, but let's kick it off here in the rear view and take a look back at Gateway.
Let's do it.
One thing I forgot in our intro notes here is a couple weeks ago we did the last giveaway drawing, and our guy Stone took the win there. But Stone, we couldn't find your socials. Don't even know if he was in the chat that night to see if he won. So we're gonna give him the rest of the evening. We'll mention it a time or two. Leave a comment. Hit up one of us on Twitter or somewhere like that. We want to get this out to you. I got the box sitting right over here. We want to get it to you, man. You want it fair and square, the Tyler Reddick diecast. But if you can't claim it this week, we're going to have to redraw and give it to another one of our viewers out there.
At IBT_media on Twitter, Stone, reach out to us. Like, don't make us doing any more work. We're already giving away some stuff, trying to make the IBT family members happy out there. But if Stone doesn't come for the Tyler Reddick diecast tonight, Elliot, we're going to be drawing again next week for it. Next man up here.
Yeah, and I mean, someone will want it. Tyler Reddick Xfinity diecast from back in the RCR days, as well as a mystery 124th diecast because Circle B told us it was autographed. It shows up it's not autographed. What can you do? But all right, back in the rear view now. The Cup Series and the Truck Series were at Gateway, while the Xfinity out at the standalone event out there in Portland, which is a fun place to go. Maybe we'll see Cup or somebody out there. But those Xfinity standalones are kind of fun too. But all right, in the Truck Series, Corey Heim, surprise, surprise, gets the win. Xfinity SVG is able to punt the rugby ball and drift across the track, take the win there. And in the Cup Series, my God, I mean, it was a Penske weekend, and Austin Cindric ends up getting the win. They run Ryan Blaney out of gas with the fuel strategy, and it was going to be Blaney and Bell. They're running it out to the end. Bell starts blowing up. Blaney runs out of gas. Austin Cindric ends up back in the playoffs.
Man, congrats to Austin Cindric being at the right place at the right time. That's what happens when you can run top 5, top 10. Sometimes you can back into wins a little bit.
Mhm.
People want to call it a fluke. People want to, I know Alex Bowman has some names out there for himself as well, potentially being a hack. But like, I think that, like, when you run up front, this stuff happens sometimes. This is
Yep.
NASCAR. This is motorsports. So hats off to Austin Cindric. Very happy for him. I will say I'm very upset about with myself, Elliot, because I literally had him in the description for the NASCAR betting preview show last week at 200 to 1. I touched on being high on Penske in general. Didn't
Mhm.
lay any coin on Austin Cindric. I thought about it again on Sunday morning when we saw it go from 200 to 1 to 30 to 1, and I was still like, I'm a little hesitant. So,
Yeah.
scared money doesn't make money, folks. That is like the one thing we got to continue to think about. We threw out long shots for Charlotte. I got a little scared. We took some heavy favorites last week. So time to turn things around, and something to keep in mind. But from a NASCAR perspective, Elliot, Austin Cindric, what does this do for his confidence? I think he can now potentially go on a little bit of a run here this season, especially doing this at a track like Gateway, Old Man Country.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it with Cindric's point, that you got to still be running up front. You can't have a shitty car run 15th and back into wins. Most of the time that doesn't happen. You got to be up there running up front. I think he had been leading laps before. I had to catch most of the race on the radio, but was able
Yeah.
to watch the finish. But yeah, you got to run up front, and Cindric putting himself in position. And an outright like 200 to 1, though, I mean, I hope somebody out there got it, because I know a lot of us didn't. Even though
Yeah.
you're high on him, you just haven't seen him do that. At a normal track. He won the Daytona 500. He's had some road course success, but normally Cindric's back there in 25th, ends up having a really great day at Gateway and taking home the checkered flag.
Yeah, the one note I will say, Christopher Bell, if you guys want to be investing in him from a futures perspective, he was the best car by far.
Yeah.
And if he can get back to Phoenix and he doesn't have some fucking rotors go on him this year, he could be the guy holding the championship trophy at the end of the season. So something to keep in mind. I haven't been able to check out that market myself this week, but definitely eyeing Christopher Bell there a little bit. I think Blaney definitely in the conversation as well. If he can, start getting it together here, which I think Ford, they're bouncing back, Elliot. So excited to see it. Also excited to see the IBT family. We're 7 minutes in. I haven't even acknowledged them. I'm so fucking rude. I'm sorry, guys. I was so fired up.
We were getting there. I had that nice little minute-long thing reminding people about our giveaway too. So
Yeah. We got Charles. Charles was in here before we even went live. We appreciate you, Chuck. You're the man, dude. Also, Kush saying cock-a-doodle-doo. Kush, yeah, we're out here getting Kush, buddy. And then Stan saying people also call me Stone. LOL.
Stan, I take your word for it. If you hadn't already won one, we won't send you two just yet.
Yes, absolutely. We also got Charles saying, I lost a few bucks with Blaney running out of gas. Super frustrated. Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't invested in Blaney. I should have been. I know a lot of people in our community here should have been as well. And so hopefully, not too much money people lost there, but that's what happens sometimes, man. That's motorsports in a T. And how about Didi coming in here with the super chat of $20? Thank you, Didi.
Wow.
We greatly appreciate it. Didi, she won our Frank Gore autograph signed jersey giveaway yesterday, and
Nice.
also had a really nice super chat to us the week before. So I was like, that's karma, man. That's karma. Thank you so much, Didi. We greatly appreciate over here at IBT. Hope that you're going to get that Frank Gore jersey here in the next week, and you can hang that up. I thought it was cool that you live out in California as well, so very fitting there. And I think a new face in the chat. We got Diego, right?
We'll go with Diego. Hey, correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, Diago. Either way, hello, I'm new here. Good to have you in the chat, bro. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you like NASCAR betting and hanging out and having some fun as well.
We'll have to add him if we respin the giveaway. He's on the list now. So.
Yeah, yes. Diego,
as long as you hit that subscribe button.
Yep. Let us know you're subscribed, Diego, and then we'll add you to that giveaway for next week if Stone does not come for it. All right, and then anything else from Gateway here? Anything else in the NASCAR universe that's really been popping off? I feel like we've kind of gotten to like things are simmering down a little bit, Ellie, which I'm fucking happy.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, all the drama's out of the way. We even got the number today. Front Row Motorsports buying one of SHR's charters somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 million, which is a little lower than what charters had gone for previously. So people knowing that SHR is done, they're not going to have as much leverage, but that's still a nice chunk of change. And that's just one of them. They could still have 3 more to sell. And with a guy like Cindric locking into the playoffs and Larson, all that waivers shit being out of the way, I'm glad that NASCAR thought about it, because it was a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, hey, we just had like our biggest driver skip one of our biggest races that like pays out the most points to go run Indy. And it was one thing, if there was a drop dead time to make NASCAR their priority, it didn't happen. Made Indy their priority. It worked out. They wouldn't do that for probably any other race, but I think NASCAR handled it well. They took time to think about it. It would have been nice if it was wrapped up before the Gateway race weekend had ended. But at the end of the day, they come to the right decision. Something hopefully we won't have to see again.
Yeah, I mean, Ellen Sawyer and the boys, I think they were really butthurt about this. Like, let's be honest. Like, you missed the Coke 600s, a crown jewel event, as we've alluded to. And so, yeah, I think it's good to have Larson back in the mix. And it would have just opened up a big can of worms. If not, like, would Larson just say, all right, F this, and maybe he does go run some more Indy races? Like, we don't know. So just glad to have everything kind of chilling out. I think NASCAR did the right thing. They thought about it. They kind of still did make a little bit of an example out of him, like, hey, this is NASCAR, we're the A1 out here, so don't forget about us. Yeah, I'm really happy to be moving past that. Obviously, silly season's still kind of ramping up. We heard some different rumors, what happens if MTJ retires. We're hearing some rumors about the 19, but outside of that, like the charters shifting, I like first shout out BJ McLeod, got out the right time. BJ got out the right time, Elliot. But also, like, I think this is like okay with the charters going down in value. It's expected, right? Like, we don't have an agreement. We don't really know what's happening with them. We don't know if they're going to be lifetime things or not yet. So I think it makes sense.
Hey, and I like the charter prices going down, because if they get a little lower, my guy Dale Jr. is going to be going cup racing. And I think the entire sport wants to see that. So let's NASCAR should just do a solid, it's 36 charters right now. Bump it up to 38, give one to Dale, give one to somebody else.
I would love if JRM got involved. My only thing, though, I feel like, Ellie, is if you heard him earlier this week on the podcast saying, like, just too damn expensive. He would rather invest in something else for his girls,
That's what I'm saying, is NASCAR should be like, hey, bud, we're going to do you a solid. We're going to create a new charter or 2 new charters. Do that. He's going to get the 8. He's going to get the 8 back that he ran at DEI. Teresa didn't really bring back the fucking 8 car, whoever ends up in it. Let's get JRM to the Cup Series, man. Come on, NASCAR. Do our boys well.
I mean, they did let Jeff Gordon in the playoffs at one point. So, this would be throwing him a little bit of a bone, I think. Charles asking in the chat, do you think Gragson or Barry would be more likely to fill the 19? Elliot, I lean Barry more just because it could be bringing Rodney Childress with him, his crew chief, who's just a super decorated guy in the sport. Really the man. Like, I think Josh is the biggest free agent, in my opinion, if Rodney goes with him. Your thoughts?
If Rodney goes with him, I do think someone will want to round him up, but I think it's Gragson because of the Bass Pro connection, because Bass Pro stays on the 19.
What about Ty Gibbs? What about Ty Gibbs and Gragson? They don't have the best history together.
Yeah, that's true, but they'd get over it, going out and winning races together, I feel like, or we'll just see a teammate feud. Those have happened before.
Yeah.
But I think they would want to go with a Toyota prospect. I mean, it depends on if 2311 gets one of these charters. I think the next Toyota that opens up in Cup is Corey Himes.
Time. Yeah.
So whether it's MTJ retiring or whether it's a third 2311 car. And I think maybe it's a little soon to bring Heim to Cup. Winning a whole bunch of races in the Truck Series clearly does not always translate to immediate Cup success, as we've seen with Zane Smith.
Yeah. Rough go for Zane Smith. But yeah, you also got Chandler Smith down there. Let's not forget about that in the Xfinity Series. Chandler Smith, I think, could fill that 19 or one of the 2311 cars. But yeah, I think Heim Time probably would be a good choice if they want to stay in-house there. We know.
I love Josh Berry, but I don't see him in a Gibbs ride. I don't see him in a Hendrick ride. Even if I think that Rodney probably wants to stay with Josh, but I think there comes a point where if Hendrick or Gibbs is going to offer Rodney a crew chief gig, or like, one of those type of deals like what Chad Knaus or Greg Irons does with Hendrick, one of those like competition director type deals. I think Rodney could be persuaded to move on. But I know that they want to try to keep that 4 team together. And even if you keep the 4 team, move it over to FRM or something, just keep everything intact, I think they're going to be set. But I'm troubled to see that happening. I really don't know that it will.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in due time. Great question, Charles. We appreciate it, man. Elliot, what do you say, though? Should we get ahead with it and break down Sonoma out here?
Yeah, let's take a peek at what we're looking at in wine country this weekend in the horizon forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
Thankfully, it doesn't rain as often in California as it does in some of the other places on the circuit. So hopefully that's not a worry. For Sonoma this year, of course, it's one of our classic road courses, one of the ones we've run for as long as we can remember, short of the COVID year. But this
Yes.
year it's a little different because they've repaved the whole track. I've seen some guys say that their lap times could be 3 to 4 seconds better than they have been in the track record. So they could really be blown out of the water with the fresh asphalt.
Yeah, I think that is the thing to circle here, right? We have this recently repaved track. Repaves do change things, folks, but like you don't really know. Like it's hard to handicap it, to be honest, Elliot. Like
Especially a repave on a road course. It's such a different animal than just redoing an oval.
absolutely. I think if anything, it's going to help create some better racing because they can get around some of those spots that might have not been, the best and could have junked up some cars there. So super excited about it. And as you alluded to, this is a technical road course, the classic style, 12 turns, 2.5, 2 miles. And it's really like last week at Gateway, kind of old man country that, we see the older people do a little weller in this sport, better, whatever you want to call it. But I think also veterans like this week too. Like this is a week veterans like I wouldn't necessarily say just Cup veterans. Like we have other veterans from other series that are going to be racing here too. But I'm really looking and leaning on experience at road courses this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. And hey, in some series, it's not just veterans, but old heads and even a said head there in that Hendrick car. We'll talk about him later. But another change to the track is they put a permanent wall on turn 11 there as you finish the track to try to keep people from cutting it. But people are worried that may you may see 1 or 2 cars end up smashing into that wall and creating some trouble for somebody. So that'll be a little interesting.
Absolutely. We got Chuck in the chat saying, love the commentary and feedback you guys give the viewers. Thank you. Sleeper sneaky pick this week for me. Zane Smith, top 10, 16-1. I'll have to look into it. Has Zane Smith ever even raced at Sonoma? Because trucks don't race here. I don't know if I can get behind that.
The trucks ran there a couple of years back. Maybe Zane was in the race.
Okay.
I have to pull that up.
Okay. We got Bob saying he likes Barry Alundor earlier conversation. What's up, Bob? Good to see you. I've been texting Bob all weekend, or all week. He's been telling me what he's been on. Always good to have those discussions and dialogue throughout the week as well. Stan saying the biggest frustration when betting road courses is having to guess whether a team is going for stage points or the win. For this reason, I'm usually light on the betting side. I get it, Stan. It's why I stay away from like DFS a lot this week. I think there can be some fuckus in the DFS, especially if you're playing on formats like fan tracks that reward stage points. It's tough. Like you're in season long leagues, you have to kind of you have to throw out a lineup there. But I think also though, like road courses, specifically Sonoma, Elliot, like there's less fuckus here than there is at Coda or at the Roval or at Indy. I guess Indy road course was pretty chill last year, but
traditionally it's had more fuckus, where I think just Sonoma and the Glen, obviously we've had a lot of driver turnover, we've had car turnover, but there's still something about Sonoma and Watkins Glen that it's far less chaotic, it's far less wild. It's traditional old school road course racing.
Yeah, I mean, last year we didn't have stage breaks, so Martin was kind of able to get away from it in that third stage a little bit. We did have some cautions that did slow it down, but it's something to keep in mind. Like, I am leaning on this track specifically and also the Glen. I will look at Coda because it is, kind of a crazier road course. But this year, Coda kind of raced more like that traditional road course that we've seen in the past, Ellie. Very few cautions. Byron kind of runs away with it. We get, I think it was C-Bell trying to track him down late. And then also looking at some of the secondary comps that you can throw in there, like the Roval, like Indy. If you want to throw in Chicago Street, you can. It's kind of hard to call it a true secondary comp, but our guys over at iFantasy Racing did call it one, so had to mention it. For the schedule this week, Elliot, we're going to be doing, which I love the schedule this week. I just want to say that. I love that everything's kind of late Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Cup Series practice and qualifying. That's fantastic. And then 8 p.m. Eastern time, Xfinity race, the Zip Buy Now pay later 250. Don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be. I don't know what we're buying now.
Yeah, is it one of those things where, like, have you ever seen like a firm or things like that where you check out on a website and it'll let you split up your payment?
Oh,
Over,
that's a scam. That's a scam. That's
I've done it before. It's not a scam, but it's weird. It's definitely interesting what the modern commerce has done with that
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
no idea, but
I'm not endorsing that. What I will endorse is an 8 p.m. Eastern time race.
Yeah.
My dad, my stepmom, they're coming up for the weekend. I plan to be a little bit in the bag by 8 p.m. I'm gonna be honest. I hope I'm a little jaded. I hope I'm feeling good. I'm gonna watch out in the garage with them. So excited about that. And then Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time Cup race, the Toyota Save Mart 350 stage breaks, 25 and 55, lap 110 will end it. So something to keep in mind there, Elliot. Like, you can't bet stages this week. Like, we kind of brought that up earlier. You can't be like saying the person to win stage 2 is going to win the race or stage 3. I saw those odds were like 2.5, 3.5 to 1. And I thought about it and I was like, no, there's no way I would get invested with that because of strategy kind of playing out here.
Yeah, with the stage cautions coming back, you are going to see people flipping the stage. And circling back on Zane Smith, the last time the trucks were here in 22, Zane was second to Kyle Busch in that race. So,
yeah. I mean, we even saw it last week in Xfinity at Portland. SVG was blazing through the field. He was leading and then ends up pitting before everyone else. Got no stage points, which you think someone like him would want stage points, but, he flipped it.
That's his chance to get in the playoffs. He knows that he's not going to win an oval probably this year, so that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at some trends here before we jump into the bets. Quali's going to be very important this weekend. Kyle Larson set the track record in 2015 for the fastest lap here. Also, Larson leads in active poles with 4 here. All other drivers have 1, and there's only 3 of them as well. And then Larson also leads all-time average starting position, all-time drivers 3.66. Tyler Reddick's number 2 on that list. Chase Elliott's number 3. Looking at some race trends here, Elliott. Truex has 4 wins against 4 for the rest of the field. We were on that 33-1 last year. That was great. That was our biggest hit to date. Not on Truex this week. We'll talk about that later. Larson also has a win here. Suarez has a win here. Rowdy has 2 wins coming back in 2015 and 2018. Win by starting position. Front row, almost 30%, 29.4%. Top 5, 50%. Top 10, 73.5%. What I want to highlight, though, the last 3 times we have been here, or the last 4 times we have been here, it's been a top 8 starter. So something to keep in mind, like, you need a guy who's going to qualify well, who's going to lay down that lap on Saturday night. Also, 3 times, weirdly enough, the winner in the last 4 races come from that 8th position specifically. So kind of a cool trend there.
Whoever locks down P8, throw all your coin on him.
Yeah. Whoever you heard it here first. That's a good one. Last time that it was someone who won that started 14th or worse, it was actually Kyle Busch, who started in 30th and 28th or in 2008 and won this race. So if you got someone starting way back, Elliot, I'm not like all the way fucking invested. Like, the qualifying does matter. Like, if someone's 15th, 16th, you can look at them, I think. But, qualifying is going to matter. And all this to say, like, just pay attention on Saturday. Like, I'm down on a lot right now. I think there's some good value out there to be down on pre-practice, but I'm still saving a little bit of bankroll to come back potentially on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and I mean, part of that is just because we have no idea how the track is going to run with the repave. Like, they don't even know in the sims they've been running this week. Like, that's how new and unfamiliar this is going to be to these guys. But it still will be whoever figures it out first. We could see a little more variance because of the repave, but very rarely on a road course, especially a traditional, non-roval type of deal, are we going to see a guy qualify in the 20s or something and be able to make it up with race-winning speed without chaos. So guy who's starting in the top 8, we'll say, whoever locks down P8 is going to be my favorite for the week after that trend.
Okay. We got Kush and Bob both saying they both love betting road courses.
This next-gen car was essentially built to be better on road courses. That's part of why we run 6 or 7 a year now rather than just the 2. So they've been really fun with the next-gen.
Yeah, agreed. Bob also saying Reddick has the best chance to make a big change. Looks bad, but beware. Yeah, it's a good shout out because Reddick doesn't pop if you look at his Sonoma numbers. Like, absolute trash. Like, always gets tied up in something here, which is kind of surprising for the type of track it is. So something to keep in mind there. Let's get to the iFantasyRace.com asterisk mark driver of the week. It's Daniel Suarez this week, Elliot. Suarez finished 24th last year at Sonoma, but note that his race was not incident-free by any means. On that opening lap on an early turn, Suarez missed a shift. He's been known to do this at times, immediately dropped back to 29th, never rebounded, never looked competitive. I think I was on Suarez a little bit last year at this race, and very disappointing. So something to keep in mind. Suarez's stats from last year are going to look absolutely ass, but he won this race 2 years ago in 2022.
Yeah, I got win numero uno here in 22. That's the weird thing about Trackhouse, though, in general, all times of tracks. Sometimes they look like world beaters, and sometimes they look like they still haven't figured it out. So still some work to be done there, I feel like, for Suarez and the Trackhouse as a whole.
We got Charles saying cheers to the Busch Latte, also in the Trackhouse koozie tonight. Let's go, baby.
Nice.
Appreciate that, Chuck. Cheers to you as well, my friend. I wasn't going to drink a beer tonight. I'm going to be honest, Ellie. I had a really good ride out on the bike. I was like, man, I'm feeling good. I had a new personal best in my weight loss. And I was like,
hey, right.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I don't need a Busch Light tonight. And I was like, it's hot as fuck. It's Sonoma. I gotta have a Busch Light. So
yeah, and it's the Backroad. It's tradition, it's IBT heritage.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the back row without a Busch Light. Bob saying he's liking McNasty a little bit. Yeah, glad that nickname finally catching on. Haven't seen it out on the Twitter streets yet, but I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for people to start shouting out McNasty.
Hopefully. But yeah, his numbers look good. He's part of the thing with so many road courses now too, is that it used to be, back in the days of just running Sonoma and the Glen. Back, it's called Infineon back in the day. There were the guys that were good on road courses. You had your Gordons, you had your Stewarts. Dale Jr. was always shit on road courses. It was nice to tune out those 2 weeks and just enjoy everything else. But now you can have guys be good on some road courses and kind of mid or cheeks on others. So it's interesting to break down. I do think Indy road course probably similar enough that McNasty does look decent this week, but we'll get to that.
Honestly, I'm a little butthurt with McNasty. I had him on an 8-1 top 10 number from last week. I thought I was feeling so good. Like anytime you have an 8-1 on the pole sitter for a top 10, you're feeling good. He was dog shit last week after he got shuffled back. So I don't know what happened there. McNasty needs to pull it together a little bit. Honestly, that was ignorant last week. And also, I had him on my Denny Hamlin bracket challenge going to the Final Four, Elliot. So,
wow.
Fuck me. Yeah, fuck me. Did you fill out a bracket this year?
I did not do a bracket, but I heard it was nothing but chaos. A lot of people had Truex going all the way. He has a pit problem, ends up in the back, and already eliminated.
Yeah, I will say I did have Cindric over Bubba. I had a couple good calls out there. But yeah, McNasty did not beat Ross Chastain last week.
Shout out to Denny. It's such a cool idea that it's going to be a real thing in the Cup Series next year. I'm sure everyone has seen that already, but I think it's the TNT slate of races next summer is going to be the NASCAR in-season tournament.
Yes. We got a different Charles in the chat saying, if you drink beer, it better be a Busch Light. They support NASCAR, and every can donate to the farmers. Our backbone, America, baby. Yeah, I'm with you there, man. Absolutely. I just got a fresh case of the corn cans in the garage for this weekend. I'm excited. The corn cans are the best cans, Elliot. I don't know how you feel about it. The camos are like, I like camo. Don't get me wrong. I like the fishing can. Appreciate them, supporting us here in PA and everything like that. But the corn cans, they do it for me, and we're supporting the farmers.
Yeah, hey, I mean, it's good enough beer, any sort of can it's in. I still miss the Busch Light apple. I'll be hankering for that. And at the end of the day, Busch Light, subsidiary of Anheuser-Busch, who they put out Budweiser, they put out the Bud Light, they put out a little bit of everything. So it is what it is there. Yeah, corn cans are the best. Just wanted to make sure everyone knew that Anheuser-Busch, a lot of good beers out there. I've always been partial to the Bud Days of Dale Jr.
Sure.
That's always an iconic brand to me, even if I like the Busch Light a little better. But all right, we love talking beer here, but we love talking NASCAR more. Let's go ahead and jump ahead and take a look at our bets for this week in the parking garage props. We were chatting a bit before we came on, Seth, that there's, this is one of those weeks where the books are a little fuckier than we would expect. You've got some, they're kind of, they're not entirely sure what to do with the value with the repave, I think. Some numbers we like, some numbers we don't.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see MTJ as the heavy favorite. Obviously, he's the returning, the returning champ of this track. But at the same time, like 6.5 to 1 for MTJ, a guy who hasn't won this season, not necessarily a road course guy either. I think it creates a lot of value down the board. Honestly, I think it creates a lot of value down the board. So I think we'll talk a little bit about that today. And like, not a lot of variety. I was looking for some interesting matchups to get invested with, maybe some funky specials. Didn't really see much of that. It's a pretty straightforward card for me. But what I saw, I liked a lot, and I went heavy on it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's some favorite numbers I have here, but there's definitely a few that I like a little better that are off of the top of the board.
Yeah, let's talk about them. Let's start up at the top, or towards the top at least, with the outrights. Who's your favorite outright this week, Elliot? Who are you going down with?
I don't know if one stands out to me as a favorite, but some of the ones I jotted down here, I won't want to steal your thunder on this one because I think you're kind of heavy on Chase Elliott this week. I saw him at plus 900 on Caesars.
Please.
I'm big into AJ Allmendinger this week. They don't have to set up the separate Xfinity car for him this week like they did at Coda. He's in the number 16. The best number I saw him at was plus 1,500 over on BetMGM. If you like Austin Cindric trying to go back to back, he's at plus 2,500 on MGM. And so the guy that I'll talk about probably the most, though, is a guy who when I looked at the numbers, I saw him as low as 7 or 7.5 to 1. Why on earth is this guy, so far up the board? Caesars has a boost on him at 11 to 1, which I do like a lot better. The 54, Ty Gibbs, a number that, his finishes and the way that he runs, throughout the race positionally in road courses don't necessarily scream out at you as a guy who's going to be one of the favorites, especially because he hasn't won yet. But the speed rankings, I mean, he's been top 2 in each of the last 3 road course races in our friend iFantasy Races total speed ranking. He's been near the front. He's led laps. He's got the pedigree at road courses before. Wowed us all in his first Xfinity start back in the day, winning at the Daytona road course.
Yeah.
And we don't think of Ty Gibbs as much of a road course guy, but honest to God, I think some of his best numbers come when you make the lefts and rights.
First of all, shout out to the Daytona road course. Slept on track. Fucking really like that track.
It was a good track, and it was a beautiful fill-in for those years where we couldn't go out and race Sonoma and some of those other places.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I'll be honest with Ty Gibbs. He was a guy until I looked at those total speed rankings to date from the next gen era and saw Ty Gibbs went second these last 3 road courses we've been on. I was pretty shocked. I have no Ty Gibbs on my card, so I don't mind you backing him. I think it's a totally reasonable bet, especially if Caesars is willing to, throw out us a bone where everyone else is kind of cutting down the numbers on him. Like, there's no way I'm betting at 7 to 1 or 8 to 1 for a guy who's never won. No way. But 11 to 1, it's not a bad. Is that the number, right? You said 11 to 1?
Yeah, the boost is 11 to 1, but even in my Between Bets article that should be out sometime tomorrow on the website, I had to throw a bone to Ty Gibbs even at the 7.5 to 1. The numbers look that good, and honest to God, I want different people to write about, so I haven't written much about Ty Gibbs this year. I figured he was a good one to shout out for sure.
Sure. I want to go back to Chase Elliott, guys. We put him on the thumbnail. I'm sure. Do we have any Chase fans in the chat? Let us know. I'm sure there's a couple out there. But I did not go into today expecting to be on Chase Elliott really at all. Until I really considered like a 9 to 1 on Chase Elliott. I'm getting this at FanDuel, so the cash out is alive. But this guy's finally figured out the next gen car, Elliott. Finally, he's figured it out. Has 7 road course wins, and now you're getting him at 9 to 1. Like, what the fuck? I think that's a great number. Also on him at plus 150 for a top 5 over at Caesars. Number 3 in the Sonoma next gen total speed rankings. Finished 5th last year, and that was like not long after just recovering from the broken leg as well. He got 5th with a not 100% leg.
Right.
8th the year before, led 27 laps that year, 2nd in 2022. And when you also look at like the total body of work, what Chase has done on road courses, he certainly took a step back last year on him. Like, and he was even kind of disappointing at Coda. Like, we can't say he hasn't been, but still number 3 in the next gen total speed rankings at road courses, 9th at the Roval, led 15 laps there, ran out of gas at the Glen, but was in pretty good position there. 2nd in Indy. 5th at Sonoma last year, as we noted, and then like 2nd at Chicago Street, which, kind of a fluky race how that turned out as well. But I think like vibes are high right now for Chase, man. Why not? Why not Chase?
Yeah, and I mean, we've certainly come a long way from the days where he was the bona fide favorite week in, week out, damn near won every single road course race. It felt like but
Yeah.
it shows he still has the pedigree to run up front there. And like you said, we know that the team's got confidence. They've got back to victory lane. They've ended that streak. And if he can, on kind of a bum leg, if he can run well here, I don't see why he can't run even better, fully 100%, at least we're assuming.
Yeah, that's my hope. That's my play. I went very heavy on him. I went 2 units on the outright, which I'm usually not a big 2 unit on an outright guy, especially in the Cup Series. But felt good about that number 9-1. And the thing is, if you play him over there at FanDuel and he gets out to a lead, like this is a guy who usually leads laps at road course. He gets out there, you might get a cash out option, might be able to get reinvested with him or someone else. But as the race progresses as well. We got Charles saying, I live in Georgia, not the biggest Chase Elliott fan, but I do support the local boys. I used to race quarter midgets with at the Cummings Fairgrounds about 25 miles south of Dawsonville. That's fucking sweet, bro. That's really cool.
Can you hear the siren that far south, or does it not go that far? Probably doesn't go that far.
I'll tell you what, man. My dad or my stepdad was a dirt tracker, and like it's one of my biggest regrets in life that when I was an earlier youth in my days, like I didn't show a huge interest in like getting into a go-kart or something. Like I think I would have fucking tore shit up. So Charles,
we could be sitting here with somebody else talking about, hey, how about let's hit this 9-1 Seth Woolcock outright in the Cup Series.
yeah. 9-1 might be a little short for me. I'll say that. We also Kush saying Chase or Larson. I want to talk about Larson because I also look. I get it. 7.5 to 1. That's where I found him at FanDuel. That was the longest line. This is another one. Like I'm potentially playing maybe a little cash out here because when you look at those qualifying stats that we talked about earlier in the show, Elliott set the track record in 2015, leads actives and polls for. I think like there's something to be said about that. There's something to be said about it. And when you rewatch the Xfinity race from last year, dominated that race. Like Eric Almirola definitely won that race fair and square, but Larson had the best car, led 53 laps, and also second fastest late in a run in the Cup Series race last year as well. So like didn't start out very hot, but came back, put himself in position. I was trying to find a way to also get invested in Larson, like maybe in a top 5 or potentially or a matchup, but I didn't really see anything out there. I think it is short in the props market, but 7.5 to 1. I am down on Larson for a unit there. I'm very high on our HMS boys this week.
Yeah, I mean, I got to kind of pivot the other way for Larson. I'm looking at my sheet here. I have no number 5 on the bet sheet in any circumstance here. I don't think he's going to be bad because he's, it's Kyle Larson. It's the same way that if NASCAR betting was big in the mid or late 2000s, early 2010s when Jimmy Johnson was winning everything, there would be a few weeks where you might not bet Jimmy Johnson, but you always had to keep an eye on Jimmy Johnson. It's the same with Larson. You always got to keep an eye on him, but if you put some stock in this total speed ranking that I have here next to me, I've got up the total speed ranking for all the road courses in the next gen. Larson's all the way down in 14th, which is not a bad number, but it is the worst of the Hendrick cars. Finally, Bowman's not the worst Hendrick guy in something, thank God. But yeah. So in this year, I mean, the last 2 road course races, 13th and 24th in total speed ranking. It just hasn't
Sonoma.
been great.
It's Sonoma.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to, is that I think because there's so much difference in the road courses, Coda's a different animal. He already had gone out and won in the Xfinity at Coda. That Sonoma definitely one of his better road courses. And like I said, you always got to keep an eye on him. But I just think with these numbers that are out here, I don't really love the 5 car in anything this week.
Kyle Larson reminds me of my friend Mac. I went to college with her, went to high school with her. One of my very good friends, and she like just eats nothing but like pizza and chicken nuggets. Like she won't venture outside of her comfort zone. And while Larson's someone who's like known to dirt race and get an Indy car, he sucks at like every road course except for Sonoma and Watkins Glen. Like he's Mac, man. So I think to me, I like him at Sonoma to get me track position. I'm betting on track position. Who can get me that? Yeah. I think Kyle Larson can.
Track position and a good qualifying run too. I mean,
yes,
he could very well be my guy qualifying in 8th place, which means I'll have to throw the book at him.
Also, I want to address this comment here from Brian Brown. What's up, Brian? Thanks for tuning in with us tonight, man. He says, everyone always sleeping on Bell. I'll be honest, dude. I always sleep on Bell. Anytime I try to bet him, I can't get Chris Bell right. So I will say that flat out. Here's what I'll say about Chris Bell and why he's like one tinfoil hat a little bit this week. But so like there are cars in every Cup Series garage that like the chassis are just better. Like let's just be honest. Like And I think Christopher Bell, whatever he ran last week, is the same thing he ran at Phoenix here in the spring as well. And I think that chassis is really great. I don't know if, like, do they put a new engine right in that chassis, or do they go to a different chassis? I don't know what chassis it is. So, like, I'm not 100% sure if I can invest, not knowing, like, is it the Primo Bell car that was great at Coda, or did they pivot after him blowing the engine last week? Like, I don't know if they just swap engines. I'm not sure. I'm not in the garage, but just my tinfoil hat there.
And I know that they do have to use engines for multiple races, but that brought up a point that I haven't thought of in years. With the next gen, have they been releasing the chassis information? Because back in the day, there'd be a pre-race report, here's all the chassis these guys are running. The most iconic for me was Amelia for Dale Earnhardt Jr., that they'd bring out the super speedway races, went out and won a shitload of races. They ended up destroying it in the 2016 Daytona 500, getting wrecked out there. But come to think of it, I haven't seen those reports out there. I know the next gen's a little different because it's all sourced from NASCAR.
Sure.
You can make far fewer changes than you used to with the old cars. I don't know if that stuff's out there, and I can't believe that I haven't even really looked for it. But that information may not be out there. As for Chris Bell, the next bet on my sheet is Chris Bell top 5 at a plus 150. I didn't love his outright, but I think he's definitely a top 5 driver. We saw he ran well at Coda. The speed ranking numbers are good, number 4 in the series in the next gen. I know this isn't the Bible over here. This is we just love iFantasy Race so much. These numbers really, they don't steer me wrong. They're the reason why I look smart sometimes, I feel like. Definitely these iFantasy Race speed ranking numbers, because it just does take in a little bit of everything. You've got your asterisk marks and things like that. Chris Bell, definitely, he's heavily slept on. I don't blame you. I don't think a lot of people were looking at him to be great. Even at Gateway last week, and he easily could have won the race. But I'm not totally asleep on Bell. I've got the top 5 bet out there, but does he win? I'm not sure. So you can call that sleeping on him too if you want to.
He had that really bad Sonoma run in 2022, and that kind of threw him a little bit down in my metrics and my grading this week. Gotcha. Still, I think like Elliot said, top, like, he was like somewhere right in that like 5 to 7 range, and I just didn't know how to bet that, if that made sense. Like, I think you can stretch it and potentially go for the top 5. I just didn't love the number. And Chris Bell, also not one of these ringers at qualifying at Sonoma specifically. So that's why I want to bet Larson and Chase now, because I think those numbers aren't going to be available on Sunday. And that's really what I'm trying to do here, is beat the market a little bit. Elliot, anyone else from an outright perspective that we haven't touched on that you think you could get invested with now, pre-practice and qualifying, and maybe catch a little bit of an edge? I have one, but that's really it.
Yeah, I threw out all mine for the pre-practice and qualifying that I like. So let's see who you got.
So I'm taking a team bet here. I shouted out the Penske 5.5 to 1 last week. I didn't take it. I told you guys I wasn't betting on it. And then I felt like an idiot Sunday morning. It was like 2.5 to 1. I'm like, damn, I should have bet that. So total buyer's remorse not having that. This week I'm going RFK 12 to 1 for 1 unit. Busher right now is out there. He opened at like 16 to 1. I know our friend Brian Twining had a 16 to 1 ticket. He said yesterday in the NBPS chat, like, I would take Busher, I think, on a 16 to 1 if I could still find it. I could find 14 to 1 a couple places. But for 12 to 1 for all of RFK here, it's mostly about Busher Elliott, number 1 in the Sonoma Next Gen Total Speed Rankings. So he's been the fastest car here last 2 years if you take both races into account. Finished 4th and 2nd, respectively. Also number 5 in the Next Gen Total Speed Rankings at road courses. Listen to this. He's finished top 10 in 10 out of the 12 road courses in the Next Gen era. One of those that he didn't, he finished 11th. Of course, that was last year, I think, at Indy when I bet him. But started out back at Coda earlier this year and got all the way up to 8th. Like, wasn't a major player there, but still moved up. And I think with this bet, I get 3 dogs in this fight. I think I get 3 dogs in this fight. Not only do I get Busher, but Brad, this is his best road course by far. I know we don't think of bad Brad being a road course ringer by any means, but he finished 10th here 2 years ago, led 3 laps in that race. And Brad Keselowski is such on a burner right now, bro. Like, he is hot right now. He's probably the hottest driver in the garage. So I think he could improve on that. Last year, he started in the rear, finished 16th. So if he can get himself a better qualifying. And then they also have Cam Waters, who's going to be piloting that 3rd RFK car this week. He's been logging some hours with David Reagan in the sim. I don't know a lot about Waters. I'm not expecting him to win, but a little bit of coverage on some guys who, like, Brad's 100 to 1. That's fucking crazy. I almost thought about maybe we should be sprinkling that too while we're at it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a big surprise to see Keselowski win. As for Cam Waters, he's gone out and run a few truck races on ovals, and he's kind of run mid, but I mean, SVG's run mid on ovals and looks great on the road courses. So this could be a situation where he in the 60 car looks good, especially because RFK is in such a hot moment.
Yes, yes. A couple things from the chat here. First, Chuck saying I did place Team Penske plus 550 last week. Let's go, Chuck.
Congrats on the
Thanks for
bill,
that,
man.
dude. No, honestly, that just made me feel way better that I didn't get down on that. So thank you for that. Thoughts on Keselowski top Ford at 20-1. Oh,
There's too many good other Fords. I
who?
think Brad being the top Ford would be,
Busher, Cindric,
yeah,
and
Buescher,
McDowell,
Cindric, even
McDowell,
McNasty,
Logano.
any of
Yeah.
the other Penske guys.
I'll tell you what, Charles, I have another Brad bet I'll throw out here in a couple minutes. We got Brian checking in saying, damn right I do. Yeah, what's up, Brian? Good to hear from you tonight, man. He's saying Buescher is also trophy hunting on road courses.
Mhm.
Won't see him worrying about stage points. It's all or nothing. Great point. I'm with you there, man. I think he has to win here. And I saw this earlier in the chat. Chuck, where did you get this number? Buescher top 10 plus 216. That has to be Bovada or an offshore, because I took Chris Buescher Elliott as we kind of move into the placement props here. Top 10 minus 139 at Bet Rivers. Again, 10 for 12. That's the only stat I need to know to go minus 139. So I think if you get anything close to plus money, you should take it. Not the best qualifier here, but still been qualifying top 10 last 2 years. So I think you have to get down on it now.
Yeah, I mean, if plus 216 is out there, that's crazy. Yeah, he says it's Bovada.
Okay.
Okay. Because the numbers now don't reflect that, as we'll get to when we get to positional props. And also, Charles, if you don't like us calling you Chuck, I know that there's some people don't like the nicknames.
Oh yeah, sorry about
we
that.
don't want to insult you, but
Yeah.
Chuck's a good one. Like good old Charlie Brown style. I just wanted to put that out there too, just in case. You can let us know. We won't be offended.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll talk about it in a minute. But I do think the RFK and the Buescher love is definitely warranted this week, and he still doesn't have that win sticker on his car, as he told Tyler Reddick, so he'll be going for it.
Yes, and to the note of Brad Keselowski, I went half a unit dabble on a 4-1 top 10. 4-1 top 10 for the hottest driver in NASCAR for a guy who just was top 10 here. And think about 2022, Elliot. That was a terrible year for RFK. Like, they were dog shit. Brad was especially dog shit. So, 4-1 for a top 10. I usually don't hit on Brad. I'm not a big Brad better, but I like him a little 4-1. That's how I got in RFK, the top 10 market, and a little bit of combined outrights there.
Yeah, I don't hate that number for sure. Just Brad on road courses has been not great lately, but yeah, Sonoma is definitely one where the veterans, the old heads, are going to come out.
Kush saying Buescher or Chastain. Is this a matchup out there? I don't know if I've seen this one.
I haven't seen it as a matchup, but the answer is Buescher all day.
Yeah,
Buescher all day.
Dude, Ross is solid here. Like, don't get me wrong. Number 7 in the Sonoma Next Gen Total Speed rankings. Led some laps, at the road course earlier this year as well, if you remember at Coda. So I don't mind. Like, depending I would have to see what the number is for that, whether I would bet that. Like, I do like Buescher a lot, so I probably would, but it'd have to be, not super juice for that, I think. Chuck saying he's down for anything but Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Hey. No, I wasn't calling you Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
I just mean that a couple characters in the Peanuts would call him Chuck, and he wouldn't take kindly to it. So that was my.
Charles saying he was betting Cindric 200-1 in Team Penske mid practice because Hard Rock bet is asleep at the wheel. Wow, dude, I'm curious if that's you or you just heard people doing that, because that's awesome, man. Good for you if that's the case, because those fuckers get pulled on almost every other book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I hope that's true. I mean, that it seems too good to be true. Talking about it after the fact, everyone would want to be, yeah, I was on that crazy bet, but I hope somebody did get that. Like I said, because it's always fun when guys can pull out the big numbers. Whoever that guy is who hit that crazy parlay Daytona of 22, won $1 million or whatever. Shout out to them too.
Yes. Stan saying I had a dilemma yesterday. Should I bet Jones top 10 at 20-1 or videotape myself flushing a $10 bill down the toilet. It was a tough decision, but I went with the Jones bet.
There was, I forget which bet it was that was talked about earlier, but there was one that was mentioned earlier in the chat that I was like, you may as well just throw it in the garbage. But maybe I'll take a look back here while you talk about it. We'll see.
Yeah, that was like someone brought up Cindric last week, and Tino totally just disregarded him, and so he felt like shit. Hopefully, this isn't one.
Oh, that's right. It was the Zane Smith top 10 plus 1600.
Yeah.
Charles, just throw your $10 down the toilet.
Yeah, I'll bet Eric Jones before I'm betting Zane Smith. Yeah. No offense, whoever went with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about it. I'm seeing some Xfinity chatter. We'll talk about that a little bit here later in the show. Brian saying Trackhouse has to show something on Saturday to warrant any money from me. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Like, the numbers for Suarez and Chastain are solid, but like we even know Suarez missed fucking shifts all the time on road courses too. So you just don't know. You just don't know really what you're getting there. Elliot, anything else from you from placement prop perspective? I threw out Busher top 10, Kez top 10, and I am on the Elliott top 5 as well, plus 150 at Caesars.
Yeah, with the placements, like I said, Bell at plus 150 looks good. I don't like McDowell's outright, but McDowell for a top 5 at plus 255, I don't hate it. I'm down on AJ anywhere I can get him plus 285 for the top 5 is what I saw in Caesars. Top 10 wise, I do have a note here for the Trackhouse boys. You know, Chastain is a plus 115 and Suarez is a plus 130, but I would prefer seeing P's and Q's because if they come out qualifying in the mid 20s, I don't like their chances. Will Brown in the 33, you know, he's making his debut. He's the guy who took over for SVG in Australia in the supercars. He is in Cup. This was supposed to be Brody Kostecki's ride. That kind of fell apart. Now it's Will Brown, plus 150 for a top 10. I mean, I was the one who was dumb enough to be like, hey, can SVG win Chicago 50-1?
Yeah, you put it in the universe.
But I don't think that we'll see an RCR car come anywhere close to winning. But a top 10 at plus 150, I certainly don't hate sniffing at either. But again, let's see how he adapts to this next gen, see how similar it is, see how he runs on the repave, and go from there. But they're definitely worth shouting out at those numbers because top 10 is so juiced. I mean, Busher's top 10 on all the onshore books is probably close to minus 200. So getting plus money on it at all. That's a hell of a move there.
Yeah. Minus 139 still at Bet Rivers, but everywhere else it's like minus 180, minus 165. So Brian, Will Brown plus 170 over Logano. Brian, where's that at? I like Logano this week. I'll be honest. So like not enough to bet him, but I do like Logano a little bit. But plus 170 for anyone on a road course, like it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't hate that for sure. You know, Logano's kind of been wishy-washy in general this season. And I think we've seen these supercar guys come out, and because the next gen is so much more similar. And I think this is, you know, down the road talk. I almost think whenever SVG gets that full season in Cup, probably next year, probably in the third Trackhouse, we'll see him run better, more consistently, because the Xfinity is more like the, you know, classic stock car and less like the supercars.
Sure. Brian saying Superbook. Man, we need Superbook. We need Hard Rock. This is a hilarious comment from Chuck too. A different Chuck. Just lock in on Hard Rock during practice and qualifying. Everyone, don't call me a snitch. Don't flatter yourselves. Hard Rock is not in this chat.
That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, he also said that just above this, I think I'm logging. I think I can bring it up here. That the Xfinity odds, they left them the same until it's like in the middle of the race, unchanged Xfinity odds after the race had already started, which is, I mean, if you can take advantage of that, that's all we're about here. Like Seth, you made this comment a few weeks ago. It's not, you know, content creator versus content creator, better versus better. It's all of us versus the motherfuckers in the books. So if they're going to give you, you know, if they're going to give you unchanged odds for the first 30 laps of a race, hell yeah, I'd love to get in there.
Well, and that's just powerful knowledge to know, because we don't have Hard Rock in Pennsylvania. So I would have no clue. But, you know, if I'm ever traveling out of Pennsylvania, I'm going to be looking Hard Rock's way, specifically on race day. And like, that's why we've been so active on FanDuel the last couple of weeks. I know FanDuel doesn't get a lot of love in the NASCAR betting community anymore, but with the live cash outs and how I feel like reasonable they are with live odds as well, like FanDuel has gotten some more looks from me as well. Brian saying about his matchup that he was playing, it opened at even, but Logano is taking a lot of money.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah.
That makes Will Brown look even more attractive, dude. Honestly.
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
It all depends on the car. I mean, who knows if a third RCR car is going to be a shit box
Yeah.
or if it's going to be any good, because the Project 91 for
Yeah.
SVG looked better at Indy last year than Kostecki in the 33 did. But then different
True.
driver, different track. I don't want to compare that too closely.
True. Matchups and groups, Elliot. Anything that you found here? I have one that I'm down on quite heavily, and outside of that, I got nothing.
So I do like one matchup. Some of the Chris Buescher Thunder, I'm going to join in on that. Buescher at plus 135
Thunder.
over MTJ. I know that's a tough one because MTJ is pretty much the consensus favorite. But I think Buescher is good enough here. Like you said, the speed ranking numbers look great. The RFK is in a really good moment right now.
Yeah.
We don't know what the repave is going to do. Plus money for a guy like Buescher anywhere is a good bet this week, like I was just saying. And the groups look kind of neat too. I think there's a few interesting groups over on Caesars. Do we want to start with the mid-pack group, or you want to start with the favorite group? Where do we want to go?
Whichever one I will not roll my eyes in disgust.
I don't think there's any that are disgusting here. That's why I put them all in here. I used to be big time on groups and the heavy stuff. Gotten away from the groups a little bit, but I took a look.
I never bet groups.
I like all these bets. So we'll start with Group D, which is kind of the mid-pack group. My pick here out of these four, throwing some money on Todd Gilliland plus 240 in this group. Just signed the extension with Front Row. They're showing some faith in him. He's at plus 240. The other three guys in the group, we have Chase Briscoe at plus 200. Justin Haley is at plus 240. And Carson Hocevar plus 260. I just don't see the road course upside there really for any of them, but I think for any of them, I think the 38 in Gilliland's probably the way to go there over those other three.
Really? Over Haley? Haley's been hot, man.
Haley's been hot, but I just, where road courses, I don't know how good the program is. And he'd be the other guy I would go with, but I mean, Hocevar, I don't think is a road course guy. And Briscoe, unless it's the Indy road course, Briscoe's kind of mid at road courses also.
Yeah, he was so good at that Indy road course, though, honestly, back in the 98 days.
Yeah, I mean, Briscoe would always kick ass the Indy road course, but anywhere else on the road courses, I mean, his speed ranking is all the way down in 20th.
Todd has had, like, I know he had at least one top 10 on a road course last year, but 24th and 24th at Sonoma, I don't know. I can't get behind. Momentum factors with him now that he's got the bag. Multi-year extension? What?
Yeah.
Front row? What? I thought that was fake news. I thought I was getting trolled by like one of those fake accounts or something. Honestly,
no, it's a new era, and I know I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but good on Todd Gilliland for showing he deserves a spot in Cup and is going to get brought along here. But all right, I think you'll like these two a little better because we've already talked Chase Elliott. In Group G, he's got the best odds. Of course, it's the favorites group though. But he's a plus 310. You have Truex plus 175, Larson plus 250, Ty plus 270. So if you're not loving Larson, you're not loving Ty. It's basically just the Chase matchup against Truex at plus 310. I think the 9 car, I like him the best in this group.
Okay. I can get behind that. Something what else from a group perspective? Anything else?
The other group I had, AJ Allmendinger, surprise. He's a plus 330, longest odds in this group. That would be over Christopher Bell at plus 180, William Byron at plus 200, and Buescher at plus 300. That's the one I like the least. That's why it's at the bottom.
Yeah.
But it was worth mentioning just because I'm hot on AJ Allmendinger this week.
Okay, so we got some supercars going on in the chat right now here, Elliot. There is a bet. I saw it somewhere. I think it was ESPN bet that was it was Waters versus Brown, and I didn't have time to. I know Waters hasn't been in like the supercars regularly this last year, but I know he won like their Xfinity Series, if that makes sense. I think the year before, maybe 2022.
Yeah, maybe Jack can help us out with that because it looks like we have some good supercars references in here.
Yeah, so we have Brian saying Brown has shorter or level outright in top 10s in Vegas to the number 22. No reason this should be so lopsided, referring to that matchup. Bob saying nobody is close to Brown in supercars, leading it by almost 300 points. That's something to know. That's if Brown's like you said he took over for SVG, like he's the man now, like he's the Verstappen of supercars. Is that what we're kind of hearing here, Elliot, a little bit?
Yeah. I didn't know that he was leading the points by such a big margin, but I know that he took over SVG's car, and they're friendly enough that SVG is going to be one of the spotters on Will Brown's car this weekend.
Okay. Charles saying, speaking of Will Brown over Logano, Bob Bovada has a group with Brown plus 225 over Logano, Bowman, and Cam Waters. That might be a group to get invested with. Just take Brown and Logano. Then, no offense, bro, but I'm not heavy on
No,
Bowman this week.
no, I mean I play the Bowman Homer card, but I understand that also you're not going to bet all your money on him every week. And I know I shout him out more often than I probably should, but in terms of road courses, Sonoma's not one of his good ones. Logano, like I said, kind
Yeah.
of wishy-washy. If you're just going with the supercars guys, though, I probably got to go Waters because the cars are better. I don't think a third RCR car is going to run as well as the Stage 60 with the fact that RFK have been been menaces this year. They're arguably the top 4 team so far right now.
Yes. Yes. Brian saying Austin Dillon plus 330 over Gragson Gilliland, host of our I'll say this. I saw a bet with Brad Keselowski like plus 140 or something crazy over Austin Dillon in qualifying on Caesars Elliott. And I was like, okay, anytime I can get Brad plus money against AD in qualifying, I'm going to do it. And then I looked like AD's actually kind of lit here. AD's actually like decent at Sonoma. Yeah, he's actually not too bad. Average finish of 14.3 his last 3 races at Sonoma. So don't mind that at all. Charles asking if we're from Indy. No, we're from Pennsylvania, man. We're from Pennsylvania. Would love to go to Indy. He's saying I'm 317. I'm guessing maybe that's the area code over there. Have you ever been to Indy, Elliot? I know you do a lot of traveling for your work. You've been out. I've never been in that state.
No, I've driven past the highway that would have taken me to Indianapolis, but eventually hoping to make the Indy 500. That may be able to happen someday, but haven't been out that way. No.
Okay. Brian saying hammered the AD over Brian. That's how it got so juiced. It's probably Brian hammering it. All right. My only matchup that I have, I alluded to it. I'm going HMS plus 130 over Joe's Gibbs Racing. I went 1.5 units on this. And listen, like I was the guy who was high on Truex last year coming to this race. I just don't like the form he's been in. Like it seems like vibes aren't super high in that garage. Denny's been better at Sonoma than he is other road courses. Led a bunch of laps last year, qualified on the pole, but also at the same time, like he said it. He's not a road course guy. He doesn't really know how to drive them. He doesn't put a lot of effort into them. So you pretty much have Truex and I guess you do have Gibbs because you like Gibbs, but to me, I just didn't think Gibbs' numbers at Sonoma popped off the chart enough for me to really consider him like a serious, like heavy favorite. And I think someone from one of these teams could very well win it. But I think with Hendricks, you get 3 versus 2 to me. I think you're getting Byron, who just won COTA. And then you're getting Chase and Larson, who this is one of their better tracks versus Truex and Bell to me. And I don't know what that chassis is going to be for Bell. I don't know what Truex is going to bring to the repave. And I'm just not as high on Ty Gibbs as everyone else, I guess. So plus 130 for all the HMS boys, like fire me up. I don't know. I just think it was more of a number thing than anything.
Yeah, I'm on that with you. That was on my sheet here as a possibility to mention. I throw some stuff on the sheet. Don't always mention all of it because I'm not always throwing coin on it. That one was there. So I'm glad you brought it up since I didn't.
Yeah. Anything else from a Cup Series perspective, whether it's any more matchups or groups or any specials you have before we turn to Xfinity?
I thought that the numbers this week for the manufacturers in the top 10 were kind of interesting. The sides I would go on them, the over-under for Chevrolet is 3.5. The under 3.5 is plus 180, which if Hendrick doesn't have a good day, would be very easy to see happening. You get maybe one of the Hendrick cars, one of the RCR cars. Then the overs for the over-under for all 3 is at 3.5. Over 3.5 Toyota's at plus 135. Same sort of deal. You have Gibbs over Hendrick having a better day. One of the, Reddick up there, over 3.5 Toyotas is pretty easy. That's at plus 135. And over 3.5 for Ford is at plus 175. Again, good RFK day, good Penske day. Justin Haley finishing 10th. You need 4, but there would be at least 3 of them.
I don't mind the Ford one. That's been a moneymaker as of lately. I flirted with that the last couple of weeks and haven't got down on that and regretted it. So don't mind the Ford one. I would definitely be taking the over on the Chevys. There's no way. Like I'm Chevy heavy this week, really across all series. But yeah, don't mind those shout outs at all. Bob saying Elliott baby and watch out for Gibbs. Charles saying you should definitely come to the Indy 500 at least once. It's a religious experience. Dude, listen, it's on the fucking bucket list. Like I absolutely like. I'd love to run a little media double here one day, Elliot.
Media double. Jesus. Is that in the in-between budget, Seth? My God.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We might have to.
I'm sure that midday flight from Indy to Charlotte probably is pretty expensive for those guys.
We might just have to see if they got room on the helicopter with Lars, honestly. see if they'll make a little room. We can make a little documentary.
We'll get some high-speed rail in the United States, and then we can talk.
Yeah, Charles, we'll definitely put it on the bucket list if you're going to be there with some bush lights for us, brother. Let's talk Xfinity Series, man. I was light on Xfinity last week. I had 2 bets. They're both hitting with a lap and a half to go. Sam Mayer blew a tire on the last lap. I don't know what happened to Ryan Truex. He got mauled out of there. But I'm excited about this Xfinity race. How are you feeling about it? How are the vibes?
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I mean, the numbers, obviously, you have your heavy favorites there, but there's some value in the card there. The first 2 bets I'll talk about are kind of some parlays that involve Xfinity. Yeah, if you like AJ for the weekend sweep, it hasn't happened before, but he's got good enough cars for both of them. You can get that at plus 5,900. And if you like the traditional favorites this week across all the series, we're talking Verstappen in Canada and F1. If you like him to win, which is not a guarantee, like I was talking about at Monaco.
No.
He's saying that Red Bull may not even be that great. That's the only F1 related thing I have. But
wow.
If you like Max in Canada at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which hopefully the Cup Series race on, I'd love to win Xfinity race there, and Cup racing there would be awesome. SVG winning Xfinity and Chase Elliott winning in the Cup Series. They're the most popular guys, probably the most popular bets. If you think all of them are going to win, that's at plus 61.86 in one of those pre-made Caesars parlays.
I'm not gonna lie, that's like probably I don't know about the F1 side. That's like the side. Like, again, I'll talk. I like SVG this week. I like Chase a lot this week. We've chatted about that. So I don't mind maybe a little dabble there. That's a good shout out. That's a good shout out. Honestly, that's not a fuckery one.
Yeah, and I mean that's where I've had the most luck. Hitting at least coming close. There have been 2 times this year where on those pre-made parlays I've had 30-1 and 40-1 on Truex.
Right.
At any race is definitely. Definitely realistic.
Yeah, I remember at Dover you had Ryan on the one, and then what was the other one? Maybe I don't even remember. I don't even remember what the other one. But
the other parlay that I had was Quapple and somebody, I think.
Oh yeah, okay.
Quapple came close to winning, and I had his outright. That would have been a long shot, but
yeah, I remember you had another one that led you to a Truex having a huge ticket on him on Sunday. I just don't remember who won on Saturday.
That was,
Allgaier. It was Allgaier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Allgaier won.
Let's talk about Justin Allgaier. Gator, as the people are talking about him out there on the streets right now.
He ain't low Gator anymore. He's been around the block a time too.
Yeah, he's a veteran, wily Gator out there. Listen, I think Justin Allgaier, whatever way you want to bet him this week in Xfinity, is a fucking value. I'm on him a little bit, about a fourth of a unit. For the outright 11-1, he was just the fastest car last week. They're probably bringing the same cars to Sonoma. Top 5 plus 160. I went not a full unit because this shit gets crazy, but like 6 of a unit, so I got a unit split up there, and then I went 3 units on this next bet on Gator here. Bet of the week. Let's go. Justin Allgaier over Sheldon Creed minus 120 at ESPN. Fuck Sheldon Creed. This guy's a sham. This guy, like, he's talented as fuck, but he cannot get out of his own way. Like last week, he jumps the restart. Well, I guess it was a legal restart, but then he cut in before he was allowed to break out of his lane. Ends up getting thrown to the back. Day over. Was having a good run. This is like punching down again. This is like last week. My bet of the week was Nick Sanchez versus Riggs because I thought like they were in a different class. I think they're a different class here. I think Allgaier's one of the favorites, like not one of the heavy favorites, but I think he's in that next tier for a reason. Sheldon Creed's a fucking bum. Like looking at what they've done versus each other on the last 9 road courses, Justin Allgaier is 7-2 against Sheldon Creed, Elliott. 7-2. So I'm cool with it. He finished 7th last year in a race that had Almirola and Larson both in action. And that was better than Sheldon Creed. And Sheldon Creed was kind of like lit at the start of that race, qualified second, and then just went back. And his car should be better than that number 2 car. He doesn't make it look any better than it was last year. So yeah, let's fucking go, baby. Gator. Heavy on Gator.
Yeah, I mean, I like Allgaier enough that I've got his outright here, plus 1100, and Sam Mayer at 9.5 to 1 also over on Caesars. Allgaier's plus 1100 is at Bet Rivers. Obviously, you've got the favorites, SVG, Allmendinger, and somebody else. Is Ty Gibbs running Xfinity? Maybe.
Yeah,
Somebody else. Yeah,
Gibbsy.
somebody else is at the top of the board as the big favorites, which those are real good numbers on some Xfinity regulars, the JRM guys who have, they've won road courses before, they've come close. It's just, can they beat those, the ringers and the specialists?
Yeah.
Those kind of numbers, they're certainly worth a look. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Boris Said in the number 17 HendrickCars.com car. Had some electrical fuckus and couldn't qualify for the race at the Charlotte Roval. They brought him back this year. Said heads rejoice. His outright plus 6,600 at Bet Rivers. I'm not betting that. I like his top 5 at plus 375 over on Caesars a lot better. But even if not, it's going to be good to see him out there. One of the most fun racing memories I've had, seeing him get that win in Montreal back in that, I think it was a 09 car. A guy, those road course ringers, the old school road course ringers who everyone would go to help him out. And then you'd still put the ringers in a cup car and they'd still whoop your ass and finish in the top 5. The last of a dying breed, Boris Said, in some damn good equipment. It's going to be fun to watch him out there, assuming there's no fuckus and he makes the race.
Yeah. Okay. So my thing, I will say, I'm down on Boris Said 60 to 1 on FanDuel. I did take a
all right.
little sprinkle, 0.1 of a unit, folks. So just a sprinkle. This guy is 61 years old. He is 61. Like, this guy was born when fucking polio was still running around, rampant. So that's something to keep in mind with Boris Said. I don't know if his heart stops out there on the track or not, but he's in this car that's good equipment. Like, Larson dominated this race in the 17 car. We've seen Chase get it done. We've seen the last Xfinity race that we've seen the 17 car on was in Coda earlier this year. Larson won that race as well. So I think
a couple of years back, Bowman with a P2 at the Indy Road course in this car too. So even drivers who aren't at the top elite championship level can get it done in this car too.
I think, to me, that you just have to look at, like, again, FanDuel to me, like, if you bet 60 to 1 and Boris Said's on the front row or somehow qualifies top 5, you probably have a cash out waiting before the race even starts. That's what I'm trying to do here, is I'm trying to get a little bit of some action going. Boris Said, I was trying to look for some stuff and see if he's been racing or what he's been doing. I didn't find much other than he does run some sim races now. He is in the sim. He's been working in the sim for Hendrick. So that's at least a plus for me. So I'm glad to have that. We got Chuck saying he cashed out Sanchez over Riggs. Let's go, baby. That was a little bit of a sweat at the end of it. I will say that. 5 units on Allgaier over Creed from Chuck here. Wow. Okay.
That's a big number.
I appreciate you backing me. That puts a lot of pressure though on me, Chuck. Honest to God. Holy cow. Bob saying he's older than me. LOL, just messing. No, he is older than you. I'm pretty sure he is older than you, Bob. No worries there. A couple other drivers I just wanted to quickly shout out that I think have a little bit of an edge here this weekend. SVG, you can get him boosted at plus 325, Elliot. You and I talked last Tuesday, literally in a text, and I said, these Xfinity odds are kind of interested this week. They're super fucking juicy. And you're like, yeah, it's SVG versus the field. I was like, you're probably right. And we didn't bet it, and I felt like an idiot. SVG spent 2 days here last month in Sonoma testing for Chevy's wheel force, kind of how they figure out the wheels on those Chevy cars. So he's not totally green here. And I think that's something we need to keep in mind. Like, we know what testing did for Joey Logano a couple weeks ago at a track as well at North Wilkesboro. So I think the fact that SVG just spent 2 days here in May is really great for him. Also, like, I think he has a lot of, like, I don't want to say pressure on him this week, but I think he wants to perform well in front of the Browns, in front of the supercar guys. So I'm excited for SVG plus 325. And also, if you don't like that, Elliot, minus 125 for a top 3 at FanDuel. All he's done in this Xfinity car, I know it's not like the supercar, but he pretty much had a second place finish as well a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, at Coda, and then it got taken away. So he's been top 3 both road courses, minus 125. How do you feel about Shane this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as it was last week. He's going to be up there. He's going to be running up front. He's he almost won Coda and won Portland out there. He's going to show everybody. He'll go out there, and if he wins this race, or even if he runs second or third, he'll go out to everybody and be like, yeah, you boys are lucky I'm not in this cup race tomorrow, because I'd whoop all your asses too.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, this is Chuck throwing a $20 super chat out there for us. Thank you, Chuck. That we
No, no,
appreciate that, man. That like
for sure.
man, that's I don't even know what to say when people give us money, man. It's such a weird thing, just kind of being able to do it now, but very, very thankful for it. And no, it goes back to getting us to the track, getting you guys more content, giving, getting stuff to give you guys for giveaways. So it all comes back in at the end of the day. So thank you so much, Charles. You're a very, very valued member of this IBT family. Saying thankful for the commentary. Keep up the great work. Love the shout out and acknowledgments. Man, that's why we do it. We're building a community over here, so we greatly appreciate it. Elliot, I do one more Xfinity play that I just want to toss out there, and then we can move on if you have anything else.
I'm good. Go right ahead, man.
Jesse Love 60-1. I think it's at least interesting. I think we should at least tease it 8-1 for a top 5 at ESPN. I'm down on both of these. He won in the ARCA series last year at Watkins Glen. He only has one Sonoma race before, and he blew an engine, started 6th, so we don't really have a lot of data for him. But he finished 6th at COTA a couple of weeks ago. And let's not forget, he had fucking Big Hoss last week jumping on his car. I don't know if you saw that, Elliot.
I did.
Jumping on his car to get this the team I want. Like they're behind this guy, man. They're behind this guy. Sheldon Creed put this number 2 car on the front row last year. I don't think again, Creed's a good road course racer, probably better than Love at this point. But I don't think there's anything that's stopping Jesse Love for going out and having a fast practice and qualifying right off the truck. So yeah, fire it up, man. Jesse Love 8-1. I got a little sprinkle there, and I also have a little sprinkle on the outright. Altogether, it's just about a half a unit is what I've invested in Love. But I thought it was an interesting number to see on him.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about that. He even makes it look better than Sheldon Creed did. So I didn't know his road course stats.
Yeah.
He got a win at the Glen. Wasn't able to put in a full race at Sonoma. Anytime you see those real big numbers, you know that I'm a sucker for a good long shot out.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't mind it. You talk about a real long shot. This guy's not going to win, but our boy Brad Perez. I'm sure there's some more Brad Perez fans. Always love to see him racing. His outright set plus 200,000. So if you wanted to put a sprinkle on Brad Perez, just shout out to him being in the car. Obviously not going to win, but we love some bread in this place.
Is he where does he race most of the time? Because I feel like we don't see
right.
We see him just come in and out of the Xfinity series. I feel like most of the time in that part-time role.
He travels to the track every week. He's done work with like Alpha Prime and some of those other like mid-tier Xfinity teams.
Okay.
But then on road courses are his specialty. He's done some road course stuff. So occasionally he can work up the sponsorship to get in cars. He ran Chicago Street Course last year for Xfinity.
Yep.
He's had a couple of truck starts. Just a cool guy to interact with online. It's great when those kind of guys who are with you there in the fandom at first, and then they get the opportunity to go out there and race. Seeing guys like Brad Perez putting in the work every week, going out there getting the opportunities, and very rarely has he looked like shit. He's gone out there in some cars that are not the best and put in some decent runs, kept the car clean. So we're proud of good old Brett around here. He's a good follow and definitely a good dude. But he was worth a shout out just because those gigantic numbers, just in case of extreme fuckus, you can win a lot of money. But
and speaking of extreme fuckus, Ed Jones finished top 5 last week. It also was top Toyota for I don't even know what the number was. It was a crazy number that he was last week. Charles saying, do you like the top 5 for Ed Jones? Is he still in the Sam Hunt car this week? Is that right, Elliot? I think the Sam.
Yep, here he is in the 26 car for Sam Hunt. They just got some sponsorship this week, I think. Maybe that's for different races. I don't see anything listed here, but hey, I mean, we've talked about the Sam Hunt car before. Not quite on the same level as Gibbs, but definitely on a level where you can go out there and contend. And a guy like Ed Jones, a guy who is a road course, road course ringer is less of a thing to say because there's more road courses, more opportunities. But as a road course specialist, we'll say definitely worth a shout. I don't know what his top 5 number is in front of me, but worth a look.
I think it's long. I think it's like 30-1 or something like that. It's just like, can you catch lightning? To me, I will just say no, Charles, for me, just personally, because it's Sonoma. So I think we're going to see a little, it's a little more calm than some of the Xfinity road courses, which is still hard to do. But if there is one that I expect to maybe go green this year in the Xfinity Series to the end, maybe it's this one. So
yeah, and Sonoma's a track people are more used to than Portland too. Portland being the Xfinity standalone, only been there a couple of years. Sonoma is tried and true, but then again, it's a repave, so we could see the chaos.
And they never really run this in the Xfinity Series until last year. So I think that's on both sides. Charles saying, and that's for the 5 units on Algiers. You guys have helped me place 8 more units. Woo, that's a heavy card, Chuck. That's a heavy card. Just be careful.
Hopefully we're not leading you astray, but I'm glad you like our advice that much that you're throwing out some good coin.
And I will say too, like guys, never tail our bets blind. Like definitely go with your own analysis and your own research and bias a little bit in your gut as well. But we do. I do. But we do put pretty much all day. This is what what I do is build my card out, making, checking trends, doing different things. So we do put a lot of time in this, but it's definitely a fine line too. Like I never blindly tail anybody, but I definitely do listen to those. I think who have good insight as well in this industry. So great to hear that. Elliot, anything else from an Xfinity Series standpoint before we close out the show, some DFS tiers?
I think I'm ready for DFS. Just don't, I like people telling our bets. Don't come at us with the pitchforks if it doesn't work out next week. We do our best every week here, and grateful to help out some people. And hopefully, like I said, it's us versus the books. Yeah. Hopefully we take a lot of fucking money from the Hard Rocks of the world and give it to them.
Yeah, honestly, dude, I've never had anyone come at me with pitchforks. Occasionally some fantasy football takes. Like I had some guy in my mentions like a year ago. He's like, you were high on Denzel Mims. I was like, Denzel Mims was drafted in like 2017. Let it go. Like, how'd you even find that information? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
No hate to any fan base out there, but I feel like fantasy football fan base is a little more toxic than the fantasy NASCAR. We're still in that bubble where, like Charles says here, we're still in that bubble where it's all love. And
it's all love. It's all love. Hakuna Matata, my fam. Hakuna Matata. Let's go ahead, Elliot. Let's round it out here in a little tire tiers.
Let's roll. Pretty straightforward this week, as we've alluded to. Obviously, Cam Waters in the number 60. And where's the other one? The 33, Will Brown, the RCR car. Allmendinger's in the 16. Grala's in the 15. And I think that's everybody.
Thank God. There's never a time that I thought I'd be thankful to have Kaz back in the 15. But after seeing Cody Ware's ass out there.
No, I'm really thinking, like, I don't want to talk shit on anybody. Like I just said, it's all love here. Yeah. But I'm hoping this year is showing Rick Ware with a guy in his other car.
Yes.
I know you love your kid. I know that your kid is still good enough to be in a Cup car and not be too embarrassing.
Sure.
What was that? 2 yellows in the first 20 laps at Gateway?
Yeah, come on.
It's your team is getting to a point where you can't keep throwing your kid in the car just because you want your kid in the car. But we won't go too far down that road. At top of the board here, I mean, I don't know who we're going to put first, but I feel like we've got a consensus 5 or 6 that can contend for Tier A here.
Oh yeah, this is interesting because the last 2 months, dude, we've had Larson, Hamlin, like some sort of 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Last week we put Truex up in that 2 slot. He kind of burned us. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to go? Because I would almost like make the case for Chase Elliott as my 101. I think he's the safest. He feels 9,300 on DraftKings feels the safest.
Yeah, honest to God, I was kind of feeling Chase there too. Truex is expensive. Yeah, I'm pulling up the prices now.
I just can't do it for Truex. I just don't know, man. We've seen a lot of road courses between here and Sonoma last year where he didn't look great. The form's off a little bit. Him and James Small's back fucking bitching at each other every freaking race. So like, I don't know, man. 10-5, it's just too much.
Yeah, I think he's worthy of an A. I just don't think he's worthy of the number 2. Did we put Reddick second here? He's at 9,500. We haven't talked a whole lot about Reddick, which is surprising for a road course.
He's so bad at Sonoma compared to every road course, though. Like he always gets into something here. Yeah. Again, in A, like Bob said, if there's someone who has a lot to gain this week, it could be Reddick. So again, A, back half of the A. To me, Larson, a guy still averaging 50 DraftKings points per race that you're getting up here, might not have a ton of differential points to his resume this week, Elliot, just because of the fact that he could qualify up front. But Kyle Larson feels pretty safe to me at 10,000 flat. And I would almost put Chris Bell up there too. I don't mind him up in this A tier. I'd put him above Reddick and Truex as well.
Yeah. So what, probably 925, 1945?
Yeah. Yep.
Something in that range.
Exactly. Yeah.
I forget what I just said, but yeah, 1945.
Where's Billy Byron for you this week?
He's probably next, whether he's an A or starts the Bs. I think he's probably next.
Yeah, it's been tough for like Byron in the streets, like only averaging like 37.2 fantasy points per race, which like that's still pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not on the level of some of these other guys. So it's just kind of hard to trust him in DFS circles, but he was great at Coda. At 10-2 though, I think maybe a high B for him.
Yeah, I want to make the argument for Ty Gibbs in the A's. It's fine if you want to shut me down. His price is a little high at 9,000, but the numbers look good enough. Even if his finishes don't, that's the risky thing. Could be a chance. I would say could be a chance for some differential, but he normally qualifies well, so he could be one of those guys that you won't get the differential, and you have to hope he stays in the top 5 to get the points. But I think the numbers look good enough. He warrants being at the end of the A here.
Yeah, he's a fool. He started second at Coda, finished third that day, so kept you afloat, despite no differential points from him. Ran a couple fast laps. If you want to put him at the end, hey, actually, Elliot, you're writing the DFS article for me this week, so
yeah, I'll make the argument right after the show. I'm getting to that, so I'll make sure I make the argument in the article.
Yep, I'll give you the leeway there. Let's put the 24 to start out this tier. Yep. I would also, we talked about Busher earlier to a very high extent. Busher to me, 8,600.
I want Allmendinger in the Bs too. I think he's worthy. And he's 8,800, kind of a discount for him, I feel like, on a road course.
I know this is crazy, but he belongs in the Bs at 7,000. To me, Brad Keselowski, end of the Bs. Again, this isn't his best road course, but he's averaging 40 DraftKings points per race. Like, we're shifting mindsets here, guys. We're talking about who's going to score you the most points. Brad Keselowski at 7,000. We've talked about how he struggles in qualifying here. I think he's going to be a good differential point guy. And just his totals the last couple of weeks, Elliot, 55 points, 82 points, 16, 67, 60. 4 out of 5 ain't bad. Bad Brad, baby.
Yeah, he's risky on the road courses, but like you said, Sonoma's going to be the way to go. Any thought on the 11 or the 12 in the Bs, or probably not this high?
Denny's price is too high for him, in my opinion. For a guy who just kind of seems a little bit snake bitten at these tracks, like was finally having a good run last year, didn't get the job done. I mean,
he is all the way down in 17th in our total speed rankings for the next gen road courses, so it has been the strongest here.
McNasty, I think, belongs in the B tier when you're looking at what he's done. Actually, number 2 in the Sonoma Next Gen Total Speed ranking. So I like him. Denny's up. Did Denny make him a high C? Throw him there.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Penske boys? Probably maybe all in the C's, I think.
Logano's my favorite this week, just based on course history. I also actually, Blaney's been kind of good here as well. For like terrible last year at Sonoma, but before that had a 6th place in 2022. Also before that had a 10th place in 2021 and a 3rd place in 2019. So Blaney's not bad either. So yeah, I would put them, yeah, exactly like you have it. I think Cindric, he's going to be chalky this week. Cindy is after last week. That's the only reason.
Yeah, it's almost a tough week for this to happen because he just got the win. People are going to like him again. He's in the news. Normally, if he would not won that race, still we're kind of low on him. I think he'd be a good value pickup at a place like Sonoma this week, but I think he will be a lot more chalky because he's the main topic of the Cup Series right now.
Agreed.
I think both of our Aussie guys in the C's. Do you think, or do you think that's a bit of a reach?
Oh, I think you're 7,200, 7,100. Like the argument is that we're also kind of looking at Fantrax data for those season-long players a little bit, and they're going to be $5 there. So you should probably have at least, if you want to put Brown at the end of the C's, I would understand it. It seems like Brown's kind of a little bit more of the sure thing, I guess, just coming in here.
Yeah. The other argument I could make for the C's is Trackhouse, but like we're very uncertain on them. I mean,
yeah, I like Brian said in the chat, I think we need to see it in qualifying. Throw them maybe both at either end of C's or D's for me for Trackhouse. Like the price ain't bad, 83, 8,000. Those are okay prices.
Yeah, I think they're good to round out the C's there. We're probably good to start on the D's now. Cam Waters here. I think Bowman's respectable enough to be worthy of the D's here. Probably his price a little, 7,500 is a little high. Logano, Brown, Waters, Keselowski, even Briscoe underneath him, but probably worthy of a D. He's not total cheeks at the road courses, top 12 in the total speed ranking, even if Sonoma hasn't been his best.
Yeah. Austin Dillon as
Yeah.
well. No one's going to be Austin Dillon. He no one was on him last week. Scored 54.
Probably Rowdy here too. 77's a little high, but he's been decent on the road.
Yeah. Rowdy should definitely. Honestly, Rowdy could even potentially. He's just been so bad late. That's why I didn't bet Rowdy last week or play him. I started the week thinking I was going to bet on Rowdy and play him in a bunch of places, and by the time the week ended, Elliot, I really didn't have him anywhere.
That worked out really well.
We got some love for Bubba in the chat. Charles saying Bubba's been close to top 10s on road courses. Bob saying 23. He likes the 23.
Yeah, Justin Haley in the D's also maybe.
Yeah, and we also got Rod Brown, not our guy Rod Villagomez, host of this show, but Rod Brown saying Aussies are fast, but I don't know the equipment so well. Everything that comes out of RFK is fast right now. That's what I'll say about that. The 33 is the true question mark, I think.
Right, and from what it seems like too, and we've talked about this with the charter agreements, that they're going to even limit new teams to 3 cars because 3 is the sweet spot. So I don't think they're going to be stretched too thin. Yeah, it's just from what we've seen. Reagan ran pretty well at Daytona in the Stage 60. I think Roush is definitely in a better Roush Fenwick Keselowski definitely in a better spot than Richard Childress right now. The equipment will be probably on par with those guys. I don't think they'll be in shitters, obviously.
Yeah, agreed. Got to give Carson Hocevar his flowers. I was 1 week early on him. I was heavy on the top 10 at Charlotte. That race doesn't play out. Give Hocevar the D, bro.
Yeah. I was back and forth. Yeah,
48 points scored last week. I mean, this guy's just continuing to be a fucking weapon in DFS circles. Didn't have the best day at Coda earlier this year. We don't have a lot of data for him at Sonoma, unfortunately, just running in the trucks the last couple of years. But
I still have the truck up or no, I don't. Never mind. We can check on how he was in trucks, but I have to do some more digging.
We got Charles saying, "I'm telling you, don't sleep on Zane." I'm not ranking Zane until someone in the chat spam the chat with
even if anybody, you can give me the most compelling stats in the world. I'm not ranking that 71 car. Has he even? For Christ's sake, has he even run in the top 20 this year?
I want to see where he finished at Coda. Maybe that would give me a little. Okay, he was 19th at Coda. That
19th at Coda. I don't know if I want to rank him though. Let's see who else we can squeeze in the F's first before we put that 71 up there. I guess Briscoe. Some love here. Yeah.
Briscoe. Yep.
Briscoe. Todd Gilliland.
Yep. You like Todd this. You like Todd this week. I don't mind Todd. I like Barry. Honestly, this was always Harvick's best road course as well. Again, I don't know if that translates, but Rodney Childress, I think, knows how to set up a car here pretty well. He was watching back those last couple years of Sonoma. I was actually surprised to see Harvick as much of a contender. I was like, I don't really remember Harvick, being a road course guy, but I don't mind the 4 there.
And Barry's in that gorgeous, the gold Mobile 1 car that they've run a couple of times.
So I love that.
It'll even if he runs 25th, it'll look damn good doing it.
Yeah, throw Gragson in there, just sign of respect. Didn't have a very good day. The last time in a Cup car on a road course, he was 35th at Coda, so I don't expect a lot from Gragson. Just kind of a cap tip there.
Yeah, and I feel like the first thought for anybody Gragson in road course is running into that same barrier in Chicago 3 times. As long as he doesn't do that next month, I think he'll be more respectable on road courses for sure.
Yeah. I don't think I can rank Hemrick this week personally. No. Just he's kind of bounced back. He started to have good 18th place finishes back-to-back weeks, but he's really bad at road courses, even the Xfinity Series.
I was going to say, does he get a colleague bounce? But if he's shitty, it doesn't matter how good his car is. That's a good point.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm not ranking Priest.
No. Legacy seems kind of. I don't think they have any road course stats that stand out.
No, I'm good on JHN. He's been dog shit. Eric Jones isn't bad at road course. Yeah, Eric Jones might be deserve to be ranked. Eric Jones, honestly, kind of come back from the back a little bit better than I thought. 19th, 18th, 19th, and then 26th last week, but it hasn't been bad. So he deserves to be on the board. I appreciate that about him.
Yeah, I think that's it though. Unless you want to put Zane in to round it out, I don't think Stenhouse has the road course upside. Harrison Burton, we can't laud enough about how shitty he is in that 21 car. Kaz Gralla, I don't think is a big road course guy, and neither is LaJoy.
We left out Ricky. Ricky should.
You do think Stenhouse is worth being ranked?
Yeah. So actually, looking back at it, Ricky's actually not. Even I saw like I wouldn't be shocked just because I'm not going to bet it, but there was a crazy number flying around. Like I don't even know, like 70-1 or some shit on him for a top 10 earlier in the week. I think it's been bet down now. Wow. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually not terrible at Sonoma. Let me pull up it. Yeah, let me pull up his finish.
He's 5th cheapest on the board, which that kind of led me to also believe that he's probably kind of cheeks at road courses. But
finished 12th last year, and wow. Also 4 for 4 the last 2 years in the stages here as well. Okay. So
wow.
I'd actually move Ricky up if you don't mind.
I'll move Stenhouse up even to the top of the Fs. Yeah. Those spots, or maybe just even behind Briscoe.
Yeah, yep. I think that's a great place for him.
And especially with the DFS value, he's 5,500 on DraftKings. LaJoy's 56, Priest is 57, John Hunter is 6,000. So you got some value there for the 47.
10,000-1 for Ricky Stenhouse. Holy shit, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, what about that? What about that top 5? Maybe that's
maybe top 10. Maybe
might have to take a peek at that now. All right. Shout out to you for turning me around on the 47.
I mean, again, I tried betting him 2 weeks ago at Charlotte. He was a good car there. That race was shortened, so we don't really know what happened.
That's still I'm still kind of not over that. Like that was still going to be so cool. I love the late night racing. They were ready to go. Joe Gibbs said they were 10 minutes from calling him to the cars, and they were like, "Nah, fuck this. We want to put Mike Joy to bed, so we can't keep going."
25-1 now on Stenhouse for a top 10 over at Caesars. So not too bad, not too shabby. Honestly, that's
yeah. I feel like even if books would start putting out top 15s, they'd get a fuck ton more money from us D-gens too.
Yeah, yeah.
I want excuses to root for Ricky Stenhouse in the race too.
Sure. Also, Chuck gave us a super chat earlier, so throw on Zane Smith. Throw him on the board.
All right, but if I do that, can I write in the article that we only did it because he gave us money? No, I'm just kidding.
This a paid placement for Zane Smith.
Paid advertisement for the 71. I love it. No, but you're right. I mean, decent at the trucks in Sonoma there. Better finish than I thought at Coda, but it's just to believe it when I see it. And if he's top 20 here, then when we get to the next road course, which do we have another one before Chicago? I'm not sure.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
If we don't, and he's top 20 at Sonoma, I will put Smith in the Fs again for the Chicago Street Course.
Yeah. Honest to God. Honestly, such a fun stretch coming up too. We got Iowa next week. I don't know if the racing's going to be great there. Just looking at kind of what the track's looking like.
Yeah, I mean that was just a fill-in because they couldn't get Montreal or Mexico City on the schedule this year. So if it puts on anything but a snoozer, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, New Hampshire following up that, and then Nashville's always a fun race, and then Chicago, and then we'll be in Pocono, about a month from now. So I'm fired up.
It's that soon, and it's nice we get that in before the little Olympic break too. That's looming over all of our shoulders here. Toward the middle or end of July, there's going to be 2 entire weeks where none of the top 3 series are racing. So I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to be, hey, you got any more of them NASCAR bets? Those. We'll have to see what we do then. But yeah, really fun stretch of races coming up. And honest to God, I didn't think we'd even rank this many drivers. I think this is an interesting looking tier group. And like I said, if you want to look back or some more in depth at these, go ahead and read the article that'll be on the site in the morning, as well as my between bets to shout out some of the outrights. We still do put the written content on the site.
Yeah.
Always appreciate those of you who take a read at those.
Yeah. And honestly, we just appreciate the IVT family as a whole, man. Like you guys are so awesome coming out to hang out with us each and every week. Like we've been live for almost 100, an hour and 37 minutes. So awesome just to have everyone hanging out with us. And
not only have we been on for an hour and a half, but our viewer number has gone up the whole time. So that's really cool. I mean, back even a year ago, we would have had only a couple people in and they would have started to drop off had we gone this long.
Yeah. So
we appreciate you guys. And I'm glad that our work, Seth, has resulted in people showing up instead of us losing a bunch of people money and nobody gives a shit about it. So
absolutely. We greatly appreciate it. And like, I will say too, just a little company note, we're continuing to expand our NASCAR team. Actually, we got a couple people we're going to be bringing on in the next couple of weeks. A couple guys you might know from the NASCAR betting and NASCAR media industry. So keep an eye out for some news. But our team's getting bigger here soon. We're trying to bring you guys more content, fill up this this NASCAR equation we got building over here. So thank you guys so much. It's been an awesome show today. Really, Charles, Didi, thank you guys for the super chat. Bob, thanks for tuning in. Rod Brown, good to see some new faces from him. Also the other Charles, we have another Charles in here. Alfred is always hanging with us. Brian in the chat earlier tonight as well.
Did we get a Stone appearance, or are we going to have to redraw next week? Or I won't be on next week. You guys might have to redraw for it.
If Stone listens to this program and he hits us up over the weekend, leave a comment. I'm not leaving my email address in the comments again, Elliot.
You didn't just your email address, didn't you? Put your phone number in the.
Listen, the phone number connected me and Bob, and now we're texting all the time, so it's good. That worked out. I don't mind.
I'm glad you took it down quick enough for all the bots to not be spam calling you. Is what I
don't mind. I'll throw out my phone number again. It worked. The thing I won't, the thing I won't do is throw out my email because I'm getting spammed every day now from that. So,
but that's. I mean, we all get spam emails every day. I feel like.
Well, okay, but you want to know the funny thing? I have 2 emails associated to the site, like one like an overall like in between media contact one, and I just get people who just send my email, my personal email to the site. That's all they say in it. They'll just I'm not gonna say it again, but they just put my other email address in the site one. Every day I get one. I'm like, where's this? It had to be YouTube. So yeah, someone out there got me. We even have a spam bot in the fucking that's the guy who's trying to steal my email.
We know we made it. We have spam bots in our fucking YouTube chat. That's amazing. I love it.
No, I don't. I've seen some ignorant ones. At least that one was just trying to promote something.
At least it's not Twitter. I mean, Jeff Gluck, every single tweet he's got to hide 3 replies that say, you know what in my bio, the bots, we'll keep it family friendly on this program.
Oh yeah. I get a lot of people. They're asking like, are you Arabic? Like, Elon, clean it up over there on Twitter because I'm getting way too much spam all the time now.
One regular
Come on.
birthplace. Oh,
they're like, my sister thought you were handsome. I'm DMing you, and I'm like, no one thinks I'm handsome. Just stop lying to me right now. Come on, let's go. Grow up.
Hey, shout out Katie for taking one for the team.
hey, bro. Field Yates told me a long time ago there are reachers and there are settlers. I am a reacher. Katie is very much a settler, and I think you can say the same about your girlfriend Mallory as well. Shout out, Mal.
Love the back road after dark here. That's why you stick around. It's for the banter before we still holding everybody hostage here.
Yeah, let's get out of here, guys. Good luck in Sonoma. Thanks for all the support this weekend. Elliot, bring us home, brother.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for rolling on down the back road with us. Always a great time. Best of luck on your bets this week, and we'll see you next time.